I'm Van.
I'm Sori.
That's Sparky.
I'm Salty.
Where's Chip?
Chip.
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Chip's over there. Don't worry.
He's chilling by the coffee.
He's safe. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
So where in the world is the village? This is the big homie, Solomon Kane.
Yep. Rocking the shirt.
Rocking the shirt. Rocking the shirt. Solomon Kane's my guy, man.
I know.
He's one of my guys.
I know.
Love me some Solomon Kane.
You do.
I do.
You do.
So what's up, Solomon? That's probably like, look at this picture. Put this picture up again. This is like the most metal. Look at that pose.
It's very manly.
The thing is, like,
wait, this is the did you see which one I chose?
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, shit, that's real shit.
Yeah.
See, he's not a poser though. Solomon Kane is like true cult, like real.
Yeah, right there. He looks like he could be on the Viking movie, doesn't he?
Yeah. He looks
just
like
needs
he
those
could
little
be
metal
one of,
things
yeah,
twisted
he
into
looks
his
like
beard.
he could be one of those Vikings.
Yeah.
For sure. When we actually like
Word.
run into him in real life, like we got to do some like, I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I just want to fight him. I just want.
Oh my god!
Just some jiu-jitsu.
I really care about this guy. I just can't wait to fight him.
Yeah. Well, that's
No,
how
mean,
we.
yeah, I know. That's the way the bro love gets spread.
Yeah. That's my guy. We do have a winner for the finalists.
We did?
We have
They officially got it, or is it the?
It's the guy that we read
it
the
is?
Sick Because of Your Secrets thing.
Oh, sick because I thought you were talking about the book thing.
Yeah. Hey, homie,
Okay.
we would have featured you like we featured the other two contest winners, but there's no actual physical picture of you.
Yeah.
Like I didn't ask him for his picture because I felt like then he would have known that he won.
Right.
So I was like, hey man, are you on Facebook? Are you on the village? Well, he joined the village. So then I go to look in his pictures and stuff.
Still no profile?
There are no pictures. It's like a dog or something like that,
Okay.
a puppy or something.
Well, we could have put that.
The big homie Wes is the winner.
I may or may not add the dog in here.
The big homie Wes is the winner, the final winner of the free Sori secret shirt.
Yep. So
Yeah.
you got it.
Thank you so much to the three of you who are generous enough to go out and buy something for your fellow villager.
Mm-hmm.
Wes gave us like the craziest. First of all, I just want to say all of you who submitted your
thoughts on it. It was intriguing.
Were extremely nope. There was a line of like similarity, but at the same time, everybody else's was different.
Yeah.
And so,
like snowflakes.
We really appreciate that.
No, not like the way that they call people snowflakes now, but like literally snowflakes.
Literally snowflakes.
How they're all the same and kind of indifferent.
I saw a meme one time. The guy goes, "Yeah, we might be snowflakes, but like if a bunch of them come together, it's an avalanche."
Ooh.
So shout out to the big homie Solomon Kane modeling the shirt. We should probably keep that up on the website.
I know. That's legit.
That's very rock and roll. Like,
it is.
Put a little backdrop on there with some thunder and lightning and shit.
I
Shout out to the big homie Wes.
I could do that.
Wes's breakdown was inspiring. Mm-hmm. I was like, breach!
I know, we've been so busy you barely read me like different things that pop up.
I had to stop and read
but
that
he
one,
did.
though.
He stopped and I was like editing.
I had to read all three of them. I had to read all the
all
winners.
three of those, yeah, you read to me. But that one, like, I was in the middle of editing, you stopped, you're like, listen to this! And you read it to me.
Yeah. Very good stuff. And now on to Dimmu Borgir, which I'm mispronouncing. So I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of actually. So somebody spell that out phonetically for brother. This is Serpentine Offering, but it's a live version. And this was, shout out to the big homie, Alexander. So Alexander sent us the live version here, and I'm very partial to live videos. To be honest with you, if you have like a high quality live version of a video, that's like one of the Vin hacks. Like if you've got a good high quality live version, I'm more apt to say, well shit, we need to do this. Because I want to see how they do live. I want to see how the crowd interacts with them and all that shit.
I would tell you my hack, but
I know yours.
I know.
I'm not gonna say it.
You'll have to figure it out.
Alright, let's do it. This is some black metal. This is black metal too.
Hey, do you have enough songs that you want to show me that we could do Vin Week?
No.
You don't have enough songs like that?
No.
The hell have you been doing?
I would never devote a whole week to we have so many people asking for songs for so long. I could never do that.
I know.
Alright,
okay.
Let's do it.
Spektrum. Er klare for en symfonisk metal-aften med Dimmu Borgir I kveld?
You're saying like Hail Satan.
Gateways.
I don't know what they're saying. I just like it when the crowd all yells together. Ah!
Da kan du kanskje gjette hvem vi har med oss i kveld. Ingen andre enn Agnete Fjadjerv.
Is he
These motherfuckers are ridiculous. That was crazy. What a show.
Yikes.
I mean, I think the lyrics are kind of fucked up, but...
This is some next level shit, man.
What?
God almighty.
Wasn't it interesting to see, like... Wow. Can I just speak? Speak freely. You had, like, your kind of nerdy bunch in the back that was playing, like, all the instruments. Like, you know, like
you mean the orchestra?
Yes, the orchestra, but they weren't like, they didn't look like badasses like these people. You know what I mean?
Like,
they were like regular
people from the orchestra.
People just, and like, they were there, and then, but it still didn't affect, like, it was like, well, some of it is like, you know, like the rebellion sort of side of it at the beginning there that I was here. I missed a lot of the lyrics, but like at the beginning, like, it was talking about like freedom, whatever, the core principle of freedom is the only, stop scrolling. It's the only notion to obey the formula. But it sounds like, look, at any cost, you're gonna only obey the act and want to be free. You know what I mean? Which inevitably can imprison you in the end. But in some instances, but like, so like that to me was kind of like an immature thought process. But then you had like the actual real maturity of like the music behind it and all the aspects of it. Then you had those people singing in their robes that was so cool looking.
Yeah, they had like
what?
Gregorian habits on. It's called a habit.
Oh, okay, yeah, totally cool. I loved it. I loved the lights, the flashing lights, and then I friggin' love masculine and feminine energies coming together and like both coming out as like nobody trying to be somebody else. Like I love that. I think that is like just, I don't know, sexy as hell. So like them two up there, and he's like, they're both communicating the same like
principles and concepts.
Yes, but she still looked like feminine, he still looked masculine, and the both of it coming out, and they were singing together at the end. Like, what? I loved it.
Yeah, she was behind the keys at first, and then she roamed out. It looks like she has freedom to kind of...
Yeah. And usually when a girl has like super short hair, I feel like longer hair always like communicates to me more like femininity. But like even with her short hair, like she still had like that like...
Her voice is powerful as hell.
Yes, I loved it. The whole thing was great. It was really, really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, musicianship. Like, this is why I say I always like live stuff. Because, like, to me...
these people are ridiculous
To me, live music is really the, like, okay, this is a litmus test.
This is who you actually are.
Yeah, you know? Like, this is Farouk. This is the line of demarcation.
Yeah.
You know,
these people are ridiculous.
These guys are...
They travel all those people around with them?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this was, like, in their home land, you know? Because they were using... I'm sure they're Swedish, I'm pretty sure. Alexander said that they were Swedes, so they probably did the show in Sweden. You know what I mean? I don't know if that costs a hell of a lot of money to get. I mean, I don't know. But like, I was looking at this, and I remember one of the things that was a criticism of nu metal that I agreed with. I mean, aside from Korn, but like, you had like people in backwards hats and t-shirts and jeans doing a show.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can run into people like that all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, where is the experience that you were this is like, and it was like
a show with music.
Yeah, but it was like a musical. It was like a musical metal drama. But like you had like the guys in the habit, and it looked authentic. It didn't look cheesy, you know. And, And then you had the orchestral people, and like they didn't seem to be aware that they were in a metal show. They were just wanting to make sure that they hit their notes properly.
Yeah, and everybody had like their pamphlets with the music on, so it was so ordered.
And they were just like, it was like, okay, I'm in my world, and then the monks were in their world, and then the guys were rocking.
Yes.
And it was like, whoa, and it was crazy because the reason like I didn't do a lot of reacting as far as like reacting to the video was because I was just thinking in my like. Obviously, we're going to talk about the lyrics in a second and the whole, you know, aesthetic and whatever, what they're trying to communicate. But, like, I was just, like, had a very, like, I felt God's pride over these people.
Yes, I was the same thing.
Which is
I was
very
like, music
strange.
in heaven's going to be ridiculous.
Well,
but like
yes,
the accuracy and the way that they did it and the way that they communicated it so well.
Right.
And we always say people are created in the image of God, regardless of if they want to be or they believe to be or whatever. So you are going to put out something about God, and the excellence that came forth in this band was ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole show, and that was the thing that was as
Each person played their part.
Well, that's the thing, and when I think about, there's a passage in Revelation 7, like every tribe, tongue, people, and nation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And he started out speaking in their language.
Right. Well, they're Swedes, right? They're
yes.
gonna. I don't know maybe it's Swedish. I don't know, but
I would assume so.
Like when I think about and I've had pictures of this in my mind, where it's like it's not only every tribe, tongue, people, and nation, but it's people from all time. Mm-hmm. So from Tubal Cain's time when he was first figured out how to strum a stringed instrument, to the instruments we're going to invent in 3,000 years, whatever the hell that is, and then the way that you're supposed to enjoy the instrument. So like when you're playing violin, a lot of times when you see somebody playing violin, they look like they're in pain. You know what I mean? And like there's a certain way you're supposed to play a certain instrument in a certain genre with your physical expression. And so like these guys just like rocking and all that, like that is commensurate to metal and a guitar, right? And then like I loved like how detached the opera was from the orchestra was from the music, because it's like this is how to be excellent there, like as a rock star, like. But
they didn't make them dress like rock star people.
Right.
They let them be them in that element.
Right.
I just thought that it was crazy.
I was like, well, this is something like I'm gonna watch a lot.
Oh
yeah, I'm gonna watch this video a lot, and it's gonna be it's on my list.
I want to see it on our TV.
Yes, that's a very good point. We just we just got this, and I just got this massive 4K TV. So, but yeah, it's gonna be really fun to watch these guys on. We had
a TV, but somebody really needed one because they were in a bad spot, so we gave our TV away, and so the kids had their TV.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we've been without one for a while. We were just watching everything on our laptop.
Hey, if anybody knows like a good co-op game to play, let us know.
Yeah, I like kind of fantasy, whatever.
I don't know. Who cares?
But it doesn't really matter. He likes violence. So.
I do. It's a. I admit it. That's my shadow self.
It doesn't matter what game system. We just need to find a good co-op game.
Yeah, a good third-person co-op game. By the way, like we want to see the sprites running around.
Yeah, but we're playing in the same room, so.
I did well. I'm blown away.
I am too.
I'm absolutely blown away by the live show.
Totally blown away. These people are really, really good.
All right. So people have been, remember that demo, the song Schoolcraft wanted us to do, like the destruction of the world? That was like completely different than this.
I know.
No wonder they were all like, ah! Love to the big homie Schoolcraft, though. Love her. Okay. And thank you, Alexander, for sending us a live video, because I don't think it would have not had the effect at all. People always ask us, like, why don't you watch the official video? We don't watch official videos because official videos usually try to tell some sort of story, and we don't want that to influence how we exegete the lyrics.
Right.
But a live show, a good quality live show, by the way.
Yeah, good.
That's different.
Yep.
Okay, so what did you think this song was about?
Well, I was really into what I was seeing and the experience of what I was seeing. It did seem like they were talking about, I don't know, I think finding your own freedom and being, basically, it seemed to me it was like being your own God or something like that. Like at the end there, I caught something that was, let me see, scroll down. Oh no, it's at the top.
Yeah, you're the master of your own. You're the
right
sole
there.
Creator of your own master plan.
The keys are in your hands. Realize you are your own sole creator of your own master plan. Yeah. Be the broken or the breaker. Be the giver or the undertaker. Unlock and over. It really doesn't matter. Be the healer or the faker. Like whatever you want to do, should do what you want to do and like be.
See, I didn't get that from be the broken or the breaker. What I got from that was, if you're not gonna be the person who breaks people, you're gonna be broken. Oh. If you're not the giver of death, if you're not, be the giver or the undertaker. Like it's like if you want to be just this nice person, then you're gonna get fucking destroyed.
Oh yeah, I didn't take it like that at all.
Because it's sort of like a bastardized version of the strong survive principle.
Yeah, I still don't even see it that way. I think it's make your decision. Do you want to be the person that breaks people, or do you want to be the person that's going to be like the broken kind of nice person? Like, you make the choice. I understand you're saying it's one or the other, but I feel like it's you're choosing which you're going to be.
Well, I'm agreeing.
Oh.
I'm agreeing, but I think what they're saying is, I think there's a bias.
It's one or the other.
I think there's a bias toward being the breaker. I don't think, be the healer or the faker. I don't think that these are like equal choices in the context of the song, because the context of the song is all about self-will and doing your own thing.
Yeah.
So being a broken person is not a good thing. To me, it's just
but
like,
some people want to be that person. You've met people that just they want to be the broken.
But
I think there's different types of broken. There's some
as...
people that want to be the broken person because they want sympathy from other people, and some people are just nicer people, and they don't like for them to have to be the breaker. That's like so outside of their character that they just...
Yeah, but I think in the context of Satanism, any form of weakness is not something to be celebrated.
True.
Like I was listening to this interview or reading an interview of a Satanist dude, and he ended up killing himself or whatever because he hit the pinnacle of his accomplishments on Earth or whatever. And he said something very interesting to me. He said, as a Satanist, to kill yourself because your life is miserable is not admirable. That's like the epitome of weakness. And he's like, and basically he was alluding to, this is why I'm doing it. It's because I'm at the peak of, I'm going out on my own terms. It's not because I'm miserable or whatever. So like, I see what you're saying, like, but I don't think that these are. It's like in the Bible when it says, choose, life or death. It's not like it's saying, well, you can live or you can die. It's saying if you don't choose life, you're inevitably going to choose death. So when these guys are saying, be the broken or the breaker, I don't think it's like they're neutral points. It's saying you're either going to be the breaker or you're going to be broken. There's no in between. That's life. That's evolution. That's how it goes. But anyway, that's my perspective and your perspective, and that's why we have a channel. The core principle of freedom is the only notion to obey. The formula of evolution and sin leading the way. What do you got?
Well, I said that already at the beginning. Like, you want, like, freedom is the only thing that you need to seek after, and by whatever means or whatever path you take to get there, get your freedom. And your freedom is being who it is that you want to be. Write your path, write your story, follow that, and that's where you find freedom. If you let somebody else control you or try to tell you what to do, then you're not going to be free.
Yeah.
The formula of evolution and sin leading the way. That, don't really understand. Formula of evolution and sin, like how they work together, leads the way.
Well, yeah, because a lot of what religious people say is sinful. Are in the world of this song, against our evolution and against our own principles of pleasure. So like, for example, having certain sexual mores.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hey, we're trying to pass on a DNA code here.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I should be able to copulate with as many women as I possibly can. What I'm saying from their perspective, evolving, I think like the whole Christianity is against science type of mythology. I think it's, we can show historically it's mythology that we're against science. We're not against science. Right. But like the formula of evolution and sin, I think those are two key principles in the mind of these guys that is against Christian thought, basically.
Okay.
Leading the way. So it's like, we're going to have evolution and we're going to have our own will lead the way. We're not going to rely on religion anymore, I think is the point. Like, that's the gateway to freedom. I think for me, though, the question is always like, okay, what is your definition of what actual freedom is? Yes. Because these things are not that self-evident. It's like every time we have a conversation about morality, people go, oh, it's just obvious. No, it's not. It's not obvious to people. Yeah. So what is your definition of freedom, and do you really want to live in a world where people have absolute freedom to do anything they want to do? That's a serious question.
No.
Because I think even when these people mention the term freedom, they're still assuming certain borders
of morality. Yeah.
That aren't there if people have absolute freedom to do anything they want to do.
Maybe they're thinking freedom within the box of what they believe to be moral.
Well, right,
because they're like, they might be thinking, well, I'm never going to kill somebody, or I'm never going to rape somebody, or but they might say, but I want to have sexual freedom everywhere, but I'm not going to, like, there's certain lines and boxes that we feel
I'm sure,
is like
I'm sure if we interviewed this guy and said, hey, do you think that dudes should just be able to overpower women and do whatever, he'd say, of course not, the hell is wrong with you?
Or do you believe that somebody should be able to overpower you?
Well, I think the argument would be, well, it's kind of like that Lamb of God quote where he says, anyone who goes to the law is either a fool or a coward or both. And then it's like, if I die, you are forgiven. If I live, I will kill you. So it's basically like this idea that, well, bring it.
Yeah, but
try to overpower me. And if I lose, I lose. But you're gonna have to kill me in order to overpower me. Like, that's their mindset. A lot of them. I've spoken to people. I've known people.
Yeah, but women are generally not as strong as a man.
Well, like I said.
So what happens when your idea of freedom is clashing with my idea of freedom?
Well,
I don't want to be raped.
That's my point. It's like the term freedom isn't as self-evident as a lot of people think it is.
No,
like, for example. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A lot of times, your freedom inevitably makes someone else a slave.
Right. Well, that's my point.
You become a slave of their freedom.
I talked about Genghis Khan, a couple days ago, where it's like, should he be free to exercise what he wanted to do, which was go around the world and fucking dominate everybody, and nobody could stop him?
Right.
Well, a person go, well, that goes against a principle of freedom. No, it doesn't. Not for him.
Right.
If he wants to exercise his freedom to oppress other people, then that's his freedom, and then they lost. Be the broken or the breaker. It is what it is.
Right.
Like, does anybody really want to live in that type of world? So, like, that was the thing to me where it was like, I feel like it's like everybody, and it doesn't matter how nasty you are. We've never really ran into a situation in human history where we've had a society that had, like, complete and total anarchy. And as, Jordan Peterson has said, and I agree, hierarchy is inevitable. And even, here's a crazy thing, is even in Christian theology, there's an eternal hierarchy because we believe that there's a trinity of co-equal, co-eternal persons. And yet there's one member of the Trinity, God, what we call God the Father, who is sort of the first among equals, even among the Trinity.
Yeah.
So hierarchy is like literally an eternal, literally an eternal principle. So, like, when you have this concept of freedom, that becomes extremely dangerous if you define it as literally doing anything that you want to do.
Yeah.
Especially, you have, the term sin and things like that are very functional in a utilitarian sense because it keeps people from doing things that are whatever. So it's like, the concept to me is very, very interesting because it doesn't really define what freedom actually is, and I think there are a lot of moral assumptions with the term freedom that they don't. There's a lot of places you can go with that. There's lots of groups of people on this planet who would love the freedom to do shit that everybody in our group would find absolutely reprehensible.
Right. Well, you see some of that stuff, like when all of a sudden there's when all of a sudden stuff gets out of control, like there's a riot type of situation or something like that.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that are like rioting because they're trying to communicate a certain
political agenda,
political thing, or an oppression of some sorts or whatever, and then other people take it as an opportunity to just exercise. Oh, now I can just take what I want. I can, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be reckless with what I'm saying. I completely understand why people riot when you get to a certain point and you start breaking stuff because you're upset. I'm not condoning it, but I understand it completely. Like, when you're not being heard in other forums, I'm telling you, if somebody killed one of my sons, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, the riot is the voice of the unheard.
Right. But, like, in those types of situations, like, all of a sudden, like, things will get more carried away than, like, what they were intending them to get into. Because I think then you have people exercising more that they wouldn't have exercised otherwise.
No, I agree with that.
You know.
I agree with that.
I mean, or even some of the, you know, like, because the internet is kind of like, it's almost like a secret little place where you can search for things and look for things that if you had to go to the store and say, hey, can you bring me to you might not try to search for the things that you search for online, but because online is kind of secretive, like, people are, I think, more able to be their true selves, or let their shadow self come out. And
well, yeah, people say things like, people are so evil on the internet.
No, it's that.
There's nothing about the internet that has transformed anyone's ontology.
Right.
You were evil before.
Right.
The internet gives you some veiled anonymity.
Yep.
It gives you the sense of anonymity that gives you the impression that you can express your true self.
Yeah.
This is interesting though. The malpractice of the spirit ends.
Yeah, I know.
When the gift is once again attained. Yikes.
So I got from that, like, well, see how it says the rebirth is near completion as we slowly awaken from slumber? I thought it was like the slumber of, you know, believing that there were certain rules to restrain you, there were certain things, but you're throwing those things off and you're no longer following those things because, you're searching for freedom. The malpractice of the spirit ends. For me, that was like the spirit of, like religion or something like that would try to tell you, but they're calling it a malpractice because they believe that has misled you and treated you in a way that you shouldn't have been treated. And gateways, when the gift is once again attained, now the gift of freedom is attained, so the spirit is gone. And
it says once again, that means you had it and then you lost it. Mm-hmm. No rules or restraints are longer valid when the ancient future is reclaimed.
What's this gateways? Is it gateways to who you want to be? Gateways to your shadow self?
Gateways to freedom.
Gateways to...
gateways to freedom. Because we have the assumption that because people are born sinful, that if you gave them an entire world without restraints, that it would be a bloodbath. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you imagined a world where everybody was just brutally murdering and raping and pillaging and slaughtering people all day, every single day, that's kind of the world that you see in the flood, right? That's why after the flood, you see Noah come out of the boat, and then there's some laws that start happening. Mm-hmm. So if a man sheds blood, by man's blood it shall be shed. Like now you start having these laws and the death penalty and things like that because the earth was being filled with violence prior to that. Mm-hmm. And so that's the kind of crazy thing, is what people don't realize is you have Adam and Eve. The only law they had was don't eat the fruit. Mm-hmm. There is no mention of any law from Genesis 4 to Genesis 6. Mm-hmm. There's no, God doesn't come down and say, you guys have to do this, you can't do that. There was no law.
Yep.
And so what happened was, by the time you get to Genesis 6, it's like you get this unrestrained evil.
Yeah.
And then God just says, okay, I'm flooding the world, we're going to do a do-over. And then when Noah gets off the ark, now you start seeing codification of like the death penalty. Okay, like if you kill somebody, then by man's blood it'll be shed. Mm-hmm. Because when Cain killed his brother Abel, God didn't give him the death penalty, he protected him.
Right.
But then people said, oh, okay, so there's no consequence for killing, and then the thing spread across the entire planet.
Well, yeah, he said, if he did this, I mean, you remember that?
Yeah.
What's his name? Was it
Lamech. He said, I killed a man for basically stepping on my shoe.
Right.
And he said, if God's going to protect Cain, then he better protect me, basically.
Yeah. So people were misunderstanding God's kindness.
There's this principle in Scripture, and we're gonna do a Bible study. Anybody that wants it, well, I don't imagine we're gonna have a lot of people, but we're gonna do like a Vin and Sori kind of excursus through the Bible. But there's this principle that not a lot of people know, and the principle is found in Galatians. It says the law was added because of sin. Mm-hmm. So like God's default all through the Old Testament actually is to have as least laws as possible. Mm-hmm. But what happens is human beings can't handle the freedom.
Yeah.
So then he has to put laws in place. So it's like, okay, so he says, Cain and Abel, you don't hear anything about law, you don't hear anything. Yeah. And then like, because God was gracious to Cain and didn't kill him for killing his brother, then everybody starts going around killing people. Because there was no law, there were no restraints, there was nothing. And it was just, And it's interesting because when God decided he was going to flood the world, what he said was, my spirit will not strive with man forever.
Yes.
Meaning God's default wasn't to put down a law and put down like a codification of this is what you can and can't do. His default was to go and wrestle with people spiritually and say, you really want to kill that guy? He's a human just like you. He's your brother. Don't kill him. You love him. Da, 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 da. And people were like, fuck that. And started killing people.
Well, I mean, that's what he was doing with Cain.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So then after Noah gets off the boat, then God says, now we need to put some deterrent laws in place so that I don't have to do this again.
Yep.
So and it's interesting because there's a strange phrase when Noah gets off the boat in Genesis 8 where God says, never again will I flood, flood all mankind in this manner. And it says, because man is evil from his youth, and his thoughts are only evil continually. It was interesting. He says, I'm not going to do this again because you guys are born sinful. So the alternative was, I'm just going to start codifying some laws. Because if I don't codify laws, it's going to be a global purge and everybody's going to die.
Right.
So...
Well, then it became... Because he started putting the laws out there, then it was like, if you do this, there will be a death penalty. If you do this, there's this thing. So everything was kind of getting spread out, and you can learn from your neighbor when you see, oh, okay, it's serious, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But when God essentially just protected Cain, then everybody was like, oh, okay, then I can do everything I want to do, and
Yeah, it wasn't enough that there was a funeral and
a time for grace and a time for judgment.
Well, yeah. But that's the thing is like there's this perception of God and Christianity that that God is out there like that Christianity puts all these restrictive things on people. The reason that there's a law, the Bible says a law is for the lawless. So God's perfect world scenario is that you could manage yourself.
Well, he said he put the law in our hearts.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting thing where it says, no restraints, no rules or restraints are valid. I believe that in God's ideal world, which we believe is coming, that there won't be any rules or restraints.
There won't be a need for it.
Because you're and this kind of is getting into some, philosophy or whatever, but, we have laws that are designed to curb people's innate desires.
Right.
And so when you have a desire for somebody's, car, basically what society says is, okay, Joe, do you value the car or your freedom more?
Right.
And whatever you value most is going to win. And so most people value their freedom over the car. Right? And so what's happening is societies get set up and ordered by competing desires. So what if you had a world where you didn't have the desire to steal somebody's shit?
Right.
Well, if there's no desire for thievery, then there's no necessity for a law of deterrence.
Yep.
Right? So in God's ideal world, there won't be any restraints or rules. Because everybody's going to have proper and ordered desires in the first place, so you don't need a law for that.
It's kind of like with your kids, Like, when they're first born, you don't have all these laws or rules for them.
Right.
But when they go and they slap you in the face one time, then you say, you can't slap me in the face.
Or stealing Legos.
You're supposed to honor your father and mother.
Right. Yeah.
And then, or they go and they steal something. Then you put a law in for that. But then as they get older, like, we started having to put so many rules on our oldest son because he was going through that phase. And then like now he's like maturing, you know what I mean? He's got his own little side job.
So
and
then
stuff
you
like
pull
that.
back.
And you're pulling back.
Right.
You don't have to say every day, you can't do this, you can't. He already knows.
Right.
He knows those things.
Right.
And then he automatically doesn't do them.
He's
so
going to
those
make
laws
wise decisions.
Right. And then if he goes outside of that and he does something that's like, well, you knew you shouldn't have done that. It's not like you have to be like, all right, there's a punishment for you. You're just like, okay, you can have a conversation and be like, you weren't supposed to do that, blah, blah, blah. And why did you do that? Stuff like that. But so I think that the world is going to be the same way. Like we kind of got to this point where it was like, there was no rules and then it had to become the rules. That way we would start like, whatever. But then there'll be a time, when people start loving their neighbor, you won't have to say, don't steal from your neighbor. All you have to say is, you won't even have to say love your neighbor. You won't have to say it. Because you're going to automatically, out of their love for God, they're going to love your neighbor.
You're going to love your neighbor more than you love yourself.
Yeah.
And
your neighbor was created in the image of God.
Nobody will have to tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Right.
And so, like, this is presenting a type of ideal world, and we're presenting a type of ideal world, right?
Yep.
And so, like, this ideal world is very interesting because I still feel like this type of world assumes certain
Some
moral
level of
borders.
morality. I agree.
and so it's like, in my opinion, and I've been going back and forth with one of our villagers about the concept of hell. But in my opinion, this is a definition of hell.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
If our desires are not reordered.
Right.
So like the world that it's interesting because it could be hell and heaven to some degree depending on what our innate desires are in the song, right?
Yep.
If our desires are rightly ordered, then this is describing heaven mostly. Mm-hmm. If our desires are wrongly ordered, then this is describing hell.
Yeah.
You know. Where if you could imagine a world where people are just constantly able to exercise whatever fucked up idea they had in their head.
Yeah.
And then now alliances are only there because of survival and consumption.
It's interesting because they probably had security guards at this show.
Guaranteed. Well, I mean, look, when you're talking about like playing guitar and everything, everybody knows there's certain progressions you have to follow. Nobody goes, you know what? I'm just gonna go off on D.
Yeah,
when
but they
you're
could
supposed
say,
to play.
I want to play it like that. I want to play it within.
Yeah, but then everybody would stop the show and look at you because you just completely fucked up the show. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody knows. Like you don't get total freedom to play an instrument. Like freedom is playing the instrument the way it was intended. Mm-hmm. So like if you take the guitar and start trying to bang on it like a drum,
right.
That's not freedom.
Right.
That's just complete noise and they'd kick you off the stage.
Right.
Like, so for me, my definition of freedom is living as you were created, living at the pinnacle of what you were created to be. So when I see an eagle like flying in the air, I don't go, oh man, that fucking eagle, that poor guy, he can't swim underwater like a dolphin.
Right.
I don't like cry for the eagle because
right.
he's flying.
Right.
Like the eagle is most free when he's flying because that's what he was created to do.
Right.
So like loving God and loving your neighbor is the pinnacle of human freedom because that's what we're created to do. Mm-hmm. So like to your point, like some of this is just immaturity to some degree.
But that's what I was saying. It was contrasted
like
by
childish.
The intelligence of the. There was so much thought that went into it.
Yeah, that's why I said like I felt
much order. I know how I feel about order.
Yeah, I felt God's pride in this,
yes, I did too.
And with these guys' performance because it was, we've talked about this before when you listen to, pop Christian radio and there's like the level of forethought.
Yep.
That goes into this type of music.
Yeah.
Is not there.
Yep.
It's not there.
Yep.
It really isn't, and it's like, these guys are like, we're gonna go and we're gonna push the capacity of human ingenuity to the limit here, and they made some fucking excellent work.
It's interesting because usually your perception of God is like he's so much nicer than my perception of God, but when we were listening to this song, I felt like I was like seeing your version because I felt like he was like, look at these guys.
My version of God that he loves people.
Yeah, he's so much nicer than me. But you know what? I grew up with so many laws.
Yeah, you did.
That, you just assume that that's all that God is about. Like you said, the law is for the lawless. I wasn't the lawless. I was trying to be perfect. And so the laws weren't, I didn't need those. I needed, you know?
Yeah. The keys are in your own hands. Realize you're on the sole creator of your own master plan.
Yeah.
You don't even control where you were born or when. The most fundamental aspect of being is actually being, and you weren't in control of that. But somehow, some way.
I know. There's probably a record label that told them that they had to do a certain thing for this.
Yeah. Somehow, some way. This is like the thing to me, like the thing that the very essence of how you came into the fucking planet.
Yep.
You had no fucking influence on. Period. At all.
Not one family, not one location, not nothing.
Family, location, time period, date, hospital.
What you looked like.
Nothing.
You can't even make one hair on your head a different color.
Yeah, I mean you can try to like paint it with whatever, but
I'm saying you can't change the nature.
You can't change. Like it's insane to me that like think this through. How could you be the creator of your own plan? You didn't even, the most important part of the plan, you had zero influence on. And by the way, most of us will have zero influence on how we get out of this planet. And then the people that actually take the death into their own hands, all of us generally universally see that as tragic. Mm-hmm. Like, I've had a bunch of people talk about suicide, and 100% of the time it's been tragic.
Yeah.
Nobody said, well, hey.
Good for them.
So, like, you don't so many things that are out of your control.
I know.
It's like, it's so crazy to me that people, like, really, really believe that it's not like this is blasphemous. It's just irrational to me. You're the sole creator of your master plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell that to some kid born in India in some ghetto somewhere. Tell that to some untouchable in India that he's the sole creator of his master plan.
Or you know, like, remember Charles Templeton? I brought this up before.
Yeah.
He used to tour with Billy Graham, and then he became, you know, he totally turned away from Christianity because he was on a flight and he saw this magazine. I've told you guys before where there was a mom holding her son and he was dying because he needed water. Speaking of which, we're going to be talking about that later on. But anyway, and he was so, like, angry. He was like, how can there be a good God if all this kid needed was water? You know, like, the kid died because all he needed was rain.
That kid and that mom, they had no influence in where they were born,
so
what time period they were born.
Right. Well, if they're the masters of their own plan, why can't they make it rain or get some water? They can't. Like, that was outside of their control.
It's insane.
It is insane.
It's insane. It's insane. It's like literally like millions of variables.
I have a plan to help.
There's like millions of variables that go into life in the real world. See, that's the thing. Like, my philosophy, religion, whatever, like, everything has to work in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous. LeBron James was born like 6'9". You know,
yeah.
He had a genetic code that says you're going to be born 6'9". I was talking to Alec, and he was talking about people's genetic predispositions toward lots of things, violence, faith, blah, blah, blah. Like, all these things are like completely out of control, and here you are. You're the sole creator of your master plan. All right. I thought that was stupid. But I thought that the song was amazing.
Oh, very
The song's
well
a 10 for me.
I know it's a 10 for me too.
It's a 10 for me. And I did the live performance influence my decision?
Absolutely.
But we're reacting to this.
I have a feeling these people are not going to say you shouldn't have listened to the live version.
Right. That's a very good point. That woman could sing, man.
Yes.
She knew her shit.
Yep.
I really like her. I like her a lot. Her and Schoolcraft. I like them. Definitely saw like the Cradle of Filth like interplay.
Oh yeah.
Like the orchestral.
Yes.
The impending feeling of doom.
Yep, I agree.
And I'm not saying one's copied off the other. I'm just saying like I'm starting to get the genre.
Yes.
All right. Such a good song. Good conversation. Boom. They did really good on this one. I really liked it. Good job. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.